Okay, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, the christening. Oh,
wow. That was a very satisfying
there
open.
we go. Ladies and gentlemen, hello. Welcome to Play Along Podcast, the podcast where we play through games. And if you heard that beautiful, crispy can opening, it's an after dark episode with me and Kai. I'm your host, Jared. And like I said, I'm here with Kai. Kai, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I'm slightly buzzed. It's not 7 a.m. It's not even 7 p.m. It's 8:30 p.m. PST, PDT. I don't know which one of those. I don't know.
When does it turn from daylight to regular?
It's not. I know we're post daylight savings time, but I don't know if. I'm assuming PDT and the D is daylight.
Yeah, but when does that happen? Does that happen in the spring or in the fall?
It just recently happened, right?
Well, no, I know the time changed, but when does it become PDT and then PST? This is
summer.
Good. You're in for a treat,
summer
guys.
Daylight, March to November.
Okay, so we're in PDT. Okay, so we're in
PDT, and then it goes back to PST. Yes, standard and daylight. Those are the differences between those two delineations. Anyway, you're here after dark, 8:31 p.m.
Yes.
PDT.
Yes.
And we're here to talk about Game Boy games.
We're here to talk about Game Boy. And you know, Ben is not here with us because Ben...
He's here in spirit.
He's here in spirit. He had said, he's like, you know what, gents, I'm fine with sitting this one out. I didn't really have a lot of attachment to the Game Boy. I didn't play it a lot, which is not really...
It is also 3:31 a.m. in London right now, so...
And no shame to Ben. Ben, we absolutely love you, but man... A Friday night, like after the work week, sitting down with a homie, talking Game Boys, having a drink is just, it's a vibe that I don't
You have to understand that we're normally barely functioning when we record this podcast. Only solely because of Ben and his time difference. We're recording this at like 7 a.m. on a Saturday. I'm often hungover. I've barely played the game we're going through. I don't know what's happening. It's
how's dispatch going, by the way?
I still need to finish it for this week.
Literally recording tomorrow morning.
It's fine. You know, it's fine. It's fine. Yes, this is a better situation. I often don't know when we're recording, so I'm in the shower when I get the text message that's panicked of like, we've been on the link for 5 minutes now. Where are you? Do you remember we have this podcast?
What's your usual like weekend like go to in the morning? Do you check like in the morning? Do you check the night before when like the recording is supposed to happen in time? Do you just wait?
I usually check Friday.
Okay.
But last week I misread and thought we were doing Sunday, and it ended up Saturday, and then I was panicked.
In your defense, we were also planning for multiple weeks ahead, so there's a lot of dates around. There's a lot of times.
There was a lot of things, and I'm not good at dates. So, but I'm here now, and I'll be here tomorrow morning because we're having this conversation now. And I know that I need to finish Dispatch.
Dude, I was kind of bummed you said you didn't finish it because I really want to talk to you. But hey, I can talk to you tomorrow.
We can talk tomorrow morning, and also that means it's the first time we're talking.
That's true. That's true because we probably would yap a little bit about what happens at the end of that chapter. So now we get kind of the fresh takes instead of the.
There's no reveal. There's no big reveal.
No big reveal. But yes, Kai had mentioned it here at the top today. Actually, literally today. Oh, is it literally today or is it tomorrow?
You're the one who said it was today.
Tomorrow, when we're recording, March 21st, 2001 is when the Game Boy Advance first released in Japan. Which, as Kai was saying before the recording, it kind of crazy that it's been 25 years since the Game Boy Advance, because I remember
sad.
I remember like seeing the commercials for the Game Boy Advance and having the Game Boy before it and everything. So it being 25, hey, the Game Boy Advance can rent a car now.
It can.
Mm-hmm.
Also, even more depressing is that it was after the year 2000 and it can rent a car, which is always sad when I see the alcohol limit at grocery stores. It's like, were you born in 2008? You can now drink. And it's like, kill myself. I want to die.
Yeah, it's not a question anymore for us. They see the 19 and they're like, oh yeah, see, yes,
like,
you
yes, you need it.
You, sir,
you've deserved it. You've earned it.
You deserved it.
You've withstood this hellscape of a planet for long enough. Yes.
At least,
do you think they're gonna do something tomorrow?
No, not at all.
It's devastating.
I mean, maybe Nintendo will do like an Instagram post, something like that. But I mean, Zelda's 40th was this year, and I mean, granted, it's still this year. They still could do something, but like the date was, I think it was in February when the actual anniversary date of Zelda happened. They didn't do anything. They didn't really do anything for Mario. Although the Mario movie they said is supposed to be like the kind of precipice of the Mario 40th anniversary of Mario. Yeah, because it's the same year.
Okay, this is hold on.
Okay.
You're not going to be able to see this, listeners, but this is the perfect. I'm reading, what is this? Famaboards.com threads. And this is the perfect GIF for how I'm feeling right now.
Is this the Santa?
It's the Tim Allen Santa Claus GIF where he turns from regular fat Tim Allen to Santa Tim Allen. And this is posted today at 11:22 a.m. when people are talking about this being the 25th.
Oh, this is in response to the Game Boy Advance specifically.
Yes,
That's
this
so
is
funny.
Specifically in response to the Game Boy Advance turning 25 years old. This is what GPKS3 Mad Dog in the Famaboard posted, which is very prevalent. It's how I feel. Prescient is the word I was looking for.
You know what's even crazier is the Nintendo DS is 22 years old, which that makes me feel worse for some reason.
I never had an original DS.
That's true. I didn't have the original. I had the Lite. Is that the DS Lite came afterward?
Yeah. Better looking one that essentially everyone had. Instead of the original DS, which was a monstrosity that.
Oh yeah, the gray like brick looking thing. I remember that.
Like wings that come down. They couldn't make it flat for a reason that no one understood. They were like, no. It was like a Game Boy Advance SP, and then they just added 2 slopes to the edge of it. But yes, the only person that we knew who had one of those was our good friend.
Tyler?
Yes. I wasn't going to name him.
Oh, sorry. No one knows Tyler.
I remember seeing Nintendogs for the first time and being mind blown.
Yeah, we got to do it like a DS retrospective too, because I feel like even though like I have a lot of, we'll get to it too, I have a lot of nostalgia, and we played a lot of Game Boy. There's a lot of road trips in the back of a car playing the Game Boy and the Game Boy SP. I feel like I have a lot of nostalgia for the DS era too.
Yeah, I feel like not that any of our prefrontal cortexes were fully developed by the time we were playing either of these consoles, but the Game Boy Advance was a very like child. It was like from the ages of like 7 to 10.
And so mine would have been like 10 to like
8 to 11.
I guess not that much.
Like 1 year apart.
I guess that's fair.
And then the Nintendo DS Lite would have been from the ages of like 11 to like 13. Yeah. So we were a little more developed, a little more mature for a child. But that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about the Game Boy Advance, motherfucker. Our childhood game console.
Like I said, originally launching in March of 2001, it did come to the States in June of 2001. So just in time, getting in there real quick before
they were like, before the year changes, we're getting in here. Was that the same year that the PS2 came out?
I was talking about 9/11. That's what I was talking about.
The third tower, as they say. PS2 was PS2 came out 2001.
No, PS2 came out in 2000. Oh, okay. Really? That's crazy.
Yeah.
We're learning so much today.
These are the same time. This is the same, which makes sense because these were the things that I had, which was a
PS2 and a Game Boy and a DS. Like we were kind of the perfect market for these systems and these video games at this time too, which is really funny.
It was perfect.
The Game Boy, which I'm learning now, was called Project Atlantis. That was kind of the code name for it before it came out, which I did not know.
And are we talking about the Game Boy Advance?
The Game Boy Advance, yes, was called Project Atlantis.
Project Atlantis,
which is very magical.
That is very magical. What a fascinating code name for a relatively. I mean, really, all they did was add a backlight and a little bit faster of a processor.
That was the Advance, yeah.
I guess they kind of.
Yeah.
moved it to be vertical rather than
Yeah.
horizontal.
Rather than
Which
horizontal. And I remember, not I remember because I was a child, so I was not following video games, but this was like it's like having SNES games on the go. And people were like losing their mind. It's like super. And this game, we'll talk about some of them, but the Game Boy Advance was like Port City. Every Super Mario on the
yeah,
SNES, all of those 2D platformers, all those Metroid games, all of those ended up having some version on the Game Boy Advance too.
I will say, before we had Game Boy Advances,
Mm,
I remember going to your house on one of our fated holiday trips
mm.
to the
To the
lovely Inland
ghetto.
Empire. I was going to say the Inland Empire. He said it, folks. I'm not allowed to say it. He said it. And you did get a standard Game Boy Color
Mhm.
from a swap meet.
Yep.
And I was very jealous because you had Pokemon on a Game Boy Color. And I was like, this is quite possibly the
That
best thing
couldn't
I've
have been
ever
my
seen.
first time. Was that your first time with Pokemon?
Yes.
That's
My first time with Zelda
crazy.
also was at your house playing
Ocarina.
Ocarina on your also from a swap meet Nintendo 64 at the
Shout out
time.
to that corner swap meet by my house back in the day. You know who you are out there selling me old games and selling kids
Truly.
BB guns that should not be buying BB
If
guns.
that wasn't there, who knows what you'd be into?
Exactly.
Some
Drugs,
horrible
probably.
probably
Yeah.
not.
Uh,
Math, who knows?
that's crazy because I probably that wouldn't have been my first time with Pokemon because I think I had a friend in those apartments named Mario, which was hilarious because he also loved Nintendo games.
Ironic.
He was a chubby
Mhm.
Hispanic little kid named Mario, and he always had like the Nintendo thing. So I always played his first, and I was like, "Okay, mom, I need this." Like that's how I got the Nintendo 64.
You were visited by Nintendo Future like in the fucking the Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
It's me, a Mario.
Mario came to me in a fever dream one night, and he
Mhm.
showed me what was going to happen. I was like, "This has to be my
He's like,
destiny."
"You wanna gonna play a Pokemon?" And you're like, "All right, yeah,
You
hell
know,
yeah, I'm gonna
it's
go
like
find it."
in the Marvel movies, it's a canon event. Like I had to always become a
Mm,
Nintendo fan, so like Mario
that's true.
comes to me
It happens
in
in
every
every timeline,
in every timeline,
regardless of the
in
timeline
every
it happens.
possibility. Oh, I miss Arcane.
Yes.
That's a good show. This is gonna be a fucking
It's
dumpster fire of an
wild.
episode.
It's gonna be a wild episode.
That's cool though. I'm that's awesome. That was your first time with Pokemon because that
Mhm.
franchise, which we'll get to again, is such a pinnacle in not only in the world of video games but just in our lives too. So much Pokemon
Yeah.
had happened from that.
Well, I think I had been collecting the
Cards,
cards
yeah,
and watching the
yeah. It was
anime.
hard to avoid Pokemon as like a 6-year-old during this time. It was fucking
Yeah,
everywhere.
this was peak. This was really peak time. And same with Yu-Gi-Oh! Like
Oh yeah.
I think we were both more into Yu-Gi-Oh at this time than we were into Pokemon. At least
Mhm.
I was more into the cards of Yu-Gi-Oh than I ever was into the
Yeah.
cards of Pokemon. But that was definitely the first time I had ever experienced one of the games, and I was like, "What am I doing with my life? I need this. I need this electronic device that allows me to, harness the power of these cards." And I think you also had the like weird card scanner at one point in
Oh, the
time that I also did.
e-reader.
The
That's something I should have brought
e-reader.
up. The Game Boy Advance had so many the Game Boy just
So
like
many
so many
accessories.
accessories and like even the
Yeah.
original Game Boy Advance that wasn't backlit having the little worm light that you would attach to
Yeah,
because you couldn't play at
little
light. The little
spiral.
spiral like worm light that you would attach to it too.
Glorious.
Bro.
Glorious times. Yes. If you're ever one if for those of you who are too young or did not know, when you pick up a Pokemon card and there's the strange lines on the side of it,
If
you're
you
like, what
find
the
that,
fuck are
keep it
these
and
for?
grade it because it's probably worth a lot of money.
I don't think so. If you have e-reader fucking, element cards,
Mhm.
that's what they're for. You can slide them in, you could scan them in and you would get the Pokemon that you scanned into the game, which was way ahead of its essentially the original Amiibo, if we're being
Yeah, I
honest.
mean
That's
honestly,
what they were.
that's actually kind of crazy to think about is and again it was kind of like this perfect collaboration with this other like
Yeah.
facet of the company which was the cards and combining the cards with because I don't know if you remember and actually it was a Game Boy game. There was a Yu-Gi-Oh Game Boy game where at the bottom of the TCG cards there was a number. You could type that number
Mhm.
into the game, and that card you would get that card in the game too. Again, very like
Yes.
connecting the physical card game with the video games, which is again as a child, just was marketed straight to me. It was like,
Mhm.
here's the cards you love
They need to bring that back, if
for
I'm being
adults.
honest. There was a glorious time period between the years of like 2002 to 2007 in which the idea of like a physical connection to a digital thing. There was also the like, what is it, Eye of Ra on PS3? I think
I
is
have
what is
Judgment.
it?
I was like,
Eye
what
of
the fuck are you
Judgment,
talking about?
which is essentially the same thing. They used the PS3
Yeah,
like
the
eye
eye.
camera to be able to do like augmented reality like that needs to come back.
Mhm.
That was a glorious connection between those two things. They need to figure that shit. Imagine if you could use Labubu's to play in games. How much more exciting Labubu's would be.
That's hilarious. I'm doing some research right now because for one, I want to find how well the Game Boy Advance sold, kind of in general, and then
Probably
overall.
pretty well if I had to guess.
And then I'm curious for you, a question for you. What do you think is the best-selling Game Boy Advance game?
Best-selling Game Boy Advance game. I mean, I default to Pokemon because I remember existing at the time in which this stuff was popular, and that's what I wanted. That being said, I don't know. Probably like one of the Mario franchises, just because it's a Nintendo console.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's Zelda. Like, I don't think it's A Link to the Past or
okay.
one of the GBA Zelda
like
games.
ports of those SNES games.
Yeah, I think those would have been too complicated for the audience of the Advance at the time. I'm trying to remember because we weren't given Pokemon games with our Advances. We were given very weird.
I mean, this
Toys R Us bargain bin games.
This is also era of like weird sports games on the GBA, and every port was a 2D platformer, like Lego Star Wars,
movie,
and
every yeah. I don't know. I'm trying to think.
Well, why you think?
I would say it's either a Pokemon game or it is a Mario and Luigi like port to GBA from SNES would be my guesses.
So first of all, the Game Boy Advance worldwide sold 81 million units.
That's a lot of units.
It's a lot of units. Also, the Wii U sold 13 million. So that's just a perspective for
that's much less units.
The top 3 best-selling Game Boy Advance games are all the Pokemon games that were on the Game Boy Advance.
Think about how impressive that is, though. Yeah. Like there are, and we're gonna get into it because I refuse to put any Pokemon games on my list for my favorite GBA games.
Me too.
Yeah, it's just like Emerald, Sapphire.
No, I branched out and found some cool Game Boy Advance games that I think hold up.
But that is impressive. So, like, they really did dominate that system. Yeah. They were really the most important and relevant.
Number 1 at 16 million units sold is Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire. Number 2 at 12 million sold is Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green. And number 3 at 6 million sold is Pokemon Emerald.
That's crazy.
Which are all the mainline games on the game. I mean, there's the Game Boy Advance also had a ton of spin-off. Game Boy
games were what, like $30?
I think Game Boy Advance prices at launch. Game Boy Advance. I can't type. It's prices.
Game Boy Advance lunch.
I don't know.
Yeah, 30 to 40.
Yeah, it depending on the game, it looks like it's anywhere between 30 and 40. Okay, some getting up to 50.
Let's do Emerald.
I mean, Mario Kart Advance was $49.99. Advance Wars was $44.99. So it really just depended on the game itself. Yeah, I'm curious. Are you looking? So you're looking at Pokemon Emerald?
Yeah, but it gave me Emerald AI. I don't fucking care.
Emerald AI? I'm not really sure what this.
Pokemon Emerald at launch retailed roughly 30 to 40.
Damn, dude. Imagine games being 30 or $40.
That's incredibly unhelpful. Oh, $29.99.
Okay. That's crazy.
Oh, $34.99.
Okay. No, who knows what information is?
Golden Sun was $29.99, and Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire and Emerald were $34.99 each.
That's a fucking steal, man.
It's a bargain.
That is an incredible steal. Number 4 on that list, if we're doing top 5, Mario Kart Super Circuit sold 5 million, 5.9 million. And then number 5 is Super Mario World, Super Mario Advance 2.
I don't think I ever played a Mario game on Game Boy.
I mean, a lot of the Game Boy games were just ports of the SNES games. So, I mean, there's like Yoshi's Island, and there's some of the games like that. But most of the, I mean, there was Super Mario. No, we played Advance, which was it was a port of Super Mario Brothers 2. It was the weird
Mm.
one that was like you would like jump on top of the enemies and you
Yeah.
had to pick them up and throw them and
Yes, yes.
everything. And
I did not know this was a port, but I do
yes,
remember playing Super Mario Advance.
yeah, I played that not last 2024. I had played through that for the first time. What?
I played that recently.
I did because we played it as kids, but I never had like front to back beat it. So I wouldn't because
Yeah.
it's on the Switch Online. So I was like, oh yeah, I'll go through and I'll play it, and it was fun. I think honestly that is one of my favorite ways to play not only that game, but one of my favorite Mario games is Mario Advance too.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
hell yeah.
Well, that's a recommendation already. Go play Super Mario Advance. You're a fan.
Not only that, but regardless of kind of what we're talking about, because I don't know if I actually even said what the theme of today's episode is. It is the Game Boy Advance, but it's Game Boy Advance games that we think hold up in 2026 that we could play.
Yes.
So, I mean, without any of that, just checking out the Game Boy Advance section on NSO on the Switch is going to give you a ton of games that are great on there. No Pokemon games.
These are games you can play on the go on your phone right now. There are many options.
Or your
PSP.
Your PS.
Less
your
people
PSP.
qualify for that specific use case. But yes, if you have a modded PSP, you
it's really
too
easy to
can
do.
play game. Well, you have to have a PSP, which is maybe the main hurdle there. But everyone has a phone, and you can download some form of emulator to play these games on your phone, which we recommend you do after you listen to this episode and you hear our recommendations.
Not only that, but there is so many games on the Game Boy, varying
there's
quality.
Truly an absurd amount of games, a problematic amount of games, if we're being honest.
Do you remember, not that I think this is going to be on your list that you pulled up, but Spy Hunter for the Game Boy Advance? Do you remember that game?
Was that like the I Spy game?
No, it's like the spy game. It's like the car that turns into the boat, that turns into like the plane and everything. I played so much of Spy. Look up some screenshots.
I don't remember this at all. And I'm looking at screenshots of it. But I did have an I Spy game, either for the DS.
Game Boy? Oh.
I Spy.
You would have got a nice Spy game for the DS.
I did. I had it for the Game Boy Advance.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me look this up.
Yeah. It was from a Scholastic book fair. Cool. And I had the I Spy Challenger Game Boy Advance game.
I remember this cartridge. Holy shit.
Yeah. It is not what you want to see in your cartridges.
It's so blue.
It's very blue.
It's so blue.
And it's the last thing it is really a desperation game. It's like, I have nothing else going on, but this is what I have, and this is what I'm gonna play. But I played a lot of I Spy.
That's crazy. Do you know what one of my favorite memories of the Game Boy Advance is? I don't know if you have memories like this that are like, you kind of remember context and you can like see part of it, but like the like actual of what's happening is like very like blurry. But I remember us standing in your parents' house, your old Nandina house, and no one will understand that reference because it's okay. It's fine.
No one will know what that means.
No one knows what that means.
But it's a shitty 2-bedroom condo.
No, I'd live there. I'd live there again. I would live there again. Kai's childhood home. I remember standing in like the den that is like the fancy sitting room, that you had.
Yes, the other den, the fancy den that we weren't allowed in technically.
Yo, I came from the ghetto. You having 2 dens blew my mind. Okay,
2 dens.
Yeah. But I remember us standing there and playing Emerald and like either beating the Elite Four at the same time or like playing some version of like.
I personally remember watching Toonami playing the 8th gym, which is the psychic gym for Emerald, I believe. Whatever gym is the double battle. Which is psychic.
That's 7th. So I guess you were close.
I was close. The 7th gym, while watching Toonami at the same time in bunk beds. That is a core memory for me. But yes.
I remember being hot as hell in that room. I remember being at the top bunk, just like fucking sweating my ass off.
Roasting. Just a CRTV baking that room. Yeah. There was no air conditioning in that house. It was a choice. Anyway, you're not here to listen to our reminiscing of
I mean, that's part
childhood.
that's part of this episode is what they're
I mean,
saying
maybe, but
listening to
also
us
you're here to hear our recommendations of what you should be playing
in
now.
2026. Before
And
we get to that, real quick, I just want to say that I think that the Game Boy and the Game Boy Advance kind of series of handheld is kind of what solidified my love for handheld gaming. That's why I
yeah,
play my Switch so much handheld. I was showing off Kai the Portal beforehand. I have the PSP that I modded the games onto. Me and Kai have played through so many Pokemon games and done so many Nuzlockes by playing through emulators on a PC. But there's something about handheld gaming that I just love, and I think this came from the Game Boy Advance. And
yeah,
you know, I do love the Switch. I think the Steam Deck is a great thing. I think like ROG Ally, all those are great. But I miss like a handheld that's like dedicated handheld that I could like stick in my pocket and I can go and sit on a bus. I don't ride a bus, but if I was riding a bus, I would sit on a bus and play a game or something like that. I miss that. Like the Switch is that's not fitting in the pocket.
no. It's not fitting in a pocket. There. What I mean, also, if you compare the size of a child to the size of a Game Boy Advance and the size of an adult to the size
That's
of a
fair.
Switch, I'm pretty sure that whatever that percentage works out to is probably pretty similar. But yes, it was a magical time.
Yeah.
Because I also think this, there was no expectation of the gaming experience to be equivalent to what a console was,
No,
which
yeah.
is
It was the
today.
Wild West out there. People were doing
Exactly.
anything.
Today the thing that everyone is chasing is like, how do I get a console level experience or a PC level experience on a handheld console? And there was no expectation of that. It was like, how do I get anything on a Game Boy and be able to play it on the go and be satisfied with that?
Mhm.
You could play it while camping, you could play it in the car, you could play it at home. It was glorious. It was a glorious wild west of gaming and mobile gaming specifically, which they literally put every franchise imaginable
Scorpion
on
King.
that
I
console.
remember that.
Spy
What
Kids.
was the Spy Kids? What was the movie tie-in game we just played? 300. Okay. The whole time, if
Mm,
you saw me making facial expressions, I was trying to remember what the tie-in game that we just did was. And in that episode, which is our 300th episode, if you haven't listened, you should definitely go and check that out. But in that episode, Kai brought up a point of just like this era in making video games must have been so much fun as a
so
dev just
much fun.
because I feel like there was so much lower stakes. And a lot of times, like development companies would be like, hey, make this movie tie in. And even though it had nothing to do with the movie, they just kind of like, you know, however you guys feel to adapt it to a platformer, which I guess is it was the thing that was the most popular because it was the easiest to
So
do, I
fun.
imagine.
Because now people have an expectation of what
Yeah.
it means to work for a games company. But imagine working for a games company. No one knows what that
Yeah.
means. They're like, what? And you're like, yeah, I made the fucking Spy Kids game. I made the Airbud Game Boy Advance game. You're
Yo,
like,
I
I don't know
played
what
that.
that means. But that must have been so fun because you're like, all right, there's a dog, he plays basketball. We got to figure out how to make this a game. We can figure this shit out. That it would have been a blast.
Yeah.
What a glorious generation. If you worked in the games industry in that generation, I would
Yo,
love
let
to
us
talk to
know. I
you,
would love to.
interview you, have a conversation of what it was like to exist before gaming became like mainstream culture and it was just this weird thing that they exclusively sold at Toys R Us and TJ Maxx bins. Glorious, a glorious time for gaming.
Well, especially
But
now, like in a world where like gaming is now on the same, if not like surpassing things like film, where
yeah,
like it's. I mean, I do like we've said it on the before on the podcast. I love a sad boy game. I love storytelling, but it's such like a big, like it's a huge industry now. And again, there is expectations. Recently, Crimson Desert just released as of this recording. I think it released yesterday, or maybe it released today. I don't remember. Um, but everyone's talking about again this game had a lot of hype, has a lot of expectations. It's a big beautiful open world game, and everyone's talking about how I have coined before. I didn't coin this, but I've said before the Cheesecake Factory effect, where it was doing a lot
mhm.
and kind of doing everything pretty mid.
What was that other game we played that was the fucking, I think it was Ubisoft? What was that, like the Magic plus, you were playing it a lot on PC.
I need a little more for you, but I need a little more Magic on PC.
First person, you had a wand in one hand and like
Oh,
a sword in the
Avowed,
other.
Avowed,
Avowed, which is
yes,
the
from
same thing.
Bethesda,
It's
yeah.
like
Oh no,
they were
Obsidian.
like, we did everything, and
Hmm.
it's like we don't want you to do
Yeah.
everything.
Although with this, I heard someone compare this because everyone's saying like the main character Cliff is not that enticing, the story is not really that good. And I'm like, okay, but I saw someone say that this is Just Cause but fantasy, and I was like, you've sold me. you've sold me because like
That does seem cool.
those games hit a very specific niche
Well,
where I'm just like, I just want to mess around and have fun. Like I don't care about the narrative. I don't
I
care about
will
the
say
characters.
one of the best parts of Just Cause is being able to get like on a plane and on a
Yeah.
car and
There's
like,
dragons and robots in this game.
okay, well, you know what? You're selling me a little bit, I will say.
Anyways, I digress. I don't know where that was going or where that came from, but Game Boy.
It was going to the point in which they're
Oh
doing too
yes.
much these days.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
Game Boy
yeah, yeah.
games were all about what can we do with the limitations of what we
Mhm.
have, which there's something beautiful about that. And
Yeah.
we're going to get into our recommendations right after this break. And I don't know what music we're going to play for Game Boy, but it's definitely going to be 8-bit.
We also
or
don't. We
16-bit.
also don't do music breaks anymore.
Why? Why are we not doing
Because
that?
we have gotten so many copyright flags that we had to stop doing it.
Well, I have to pee. So we're going
Okay.
to take a pee break. And then
Sounds
we'll
good.
be back.
I have to pee too. Yes, we are back. We are back. And we talked about how awesome the Game Boy Advance is, how we kind of miss this era of games. And now we're gonna go through and recommend some Game Boy Advance games that we actually think hold up pretty well in 2026 and that you should take time and play. So Kai, I'm actually gonna throw it off to you first.
Okay.
I can go first if you want me to.
No. I will start.
Okay.
So
What is the game?
I played a lot of Game Boy games,
Mhm.
and I did want to validate whether this game was good or not because I also played this game on various consoles, and I wanted to make
Oh.
sure I wasn't conflating my experience on one console with the Game Boy experience and then just like memory holing that those two things were similar. So I did go back and play this game, and I will
I
say
kind of want to
that it
guess what
holds
it
up
is.
as long as you're playing with a controller. So I have vivid memories of playing this game, specifically for some reason in the garage of my parents' house.
Yep,
which is a very weird.
Their house now.
Yes, still their house to this day.
Even more confusing.
Yeah, so this would have been later rather than earlier. It is Prince of Persia: Sands of Time.
Oh, something tells me that this version
It
did not
no,
hold. I guess
it
you're one
holds
of
up.
your. Oh, okay.
So. For those of you who are familiar with the Prince of Persia: Sands of Time on PS2 or the
just beat
potential
this
remake that they canceled, the whole point of the game is that you're able to kind of control time
Oh.
backward and forward. But they converted it into a 2D side-scrolling game, but you can control time using the left and right trigger of the Game Boy Advance, which
Oh.
glorious.
Yo.
It was very fun. So like which is perfect for me because you have to understand I'm not good at side scrolling. So what you would do is you would try to complete the side scrolling puzzle, and if you got to a certain point in which you're like, "Oh, I fucked up," you would just hold left trigger and it would do like a sand like MoGraph overlay, and then you'd go backwards of what the actions you did and then you'd play it again, which is fucking brilliant.
I mean,
like a great Yes.
I was gonna say that usually when they have Game Boy Advance ports of these games, a lot of the mechanics don't carry over. And cool that they actually were able to keep the time mechanic of Sands of Time in the GBA port. Also, I just beat this game on PS2 fairly recently, which it still holds up on PS2. The controls were always a little clunky even back then, but it's still cool to see kind of what Assassin's Creed was before Assassin's Creed. I'm seeing like spectral tigers. I'm seeing flying demons in this, which are not in the, in the PS2
No,
version.
there is a litany of enemies. There's also the way that they do and introduce the mechanic is that you have a dagger, which is your like amount of back that you can do. So there's like a weird dagger icon, and there's like a loading bar within that, and that's the amount of time that you can adjust one way or the other, which it was great. Great GBA game. I just played it the first level again. It still holds up. It's very fun. It is the anti like platformer. If you don't like platforming,
interesting,
because it's too complicated and you want the ability to like keep retrying it quickly, it's perfect for that because you can do like different moves and figure out what works and then go back in time and then do different moves and figure out what works. There's also nice like combat mechanics to it, which is not just like landing on people's heads. You can actually like use A and B to hit.
This is crazy. I'm watching gameplay right now, and here I'll just pop some of it on the screen. Not the
Mhm.
I don't know if people will actually be able to see it. I don't know if Ben will add it, but there is a lot of 3D elements to
Mhm.
this. Like, first of all, like playing as the prince, he has this kind of cool like 3D effect on him, and being able to climb around pillars and like
Yes.
again keeping up the mobility of the PS2 games. Again, I feel like you lose a lot of that. Okay, what the hell is that? You lose a lot of the
That's a lizard.
lizard.
But
Lizard.
yes, you can jump around things. It is very like it's very three-dimensional. It's very interactive. As I said, there is like hitting, there's like attacking. It's not just like, oh, Mario Classic, jump
Yeah.
on a head, do that kind of stuff. There's puzzling that goes along with it,
Wow.
but you're able to retry sections by using the time mechanic, which I find very useful. So I had a blast as an 8-year-old with this game. I had a blast as a 29-year-old with this game. And I cannot recommend it
Yeah.
enough. If you are looking for more Prince of Persia in the post Ubisoft canceling the remake, you can find it within the game's
Yeah.
Game Boy Advance version.
I'm really curious on the heels of this, and I have recommendations for you that aren't Game Boy games. Is there have been two recent Prince of Persia games that have come out that are 2D platformers. Prince of Persia, it's Rogue Prince
Mhm.
of Persia, and then there's another one I'm blanking on the name, but they've both are
The
very
Lost Crown,
Lost Crown.
the newest one.
Yes,
Yeah,
they're both very acclaimed of their 2D platform roots,
I
and
have wanted to try the Lost Crown. We
Mm.
have an absolute absurd amount of games that we play for this podcast and other
yeah,
things that I'm playing. But I am interested in play
yeah.
the Lost Crown, and I think it's on sale on Steam right now for like
It's gotten good
$19.
reviews too. I've had lots of people tell me that it is a really competent like platformer. And again, like jumping into this and playing this and enjoying this, I feel like Lost Crown would be right up your alley.
Yeah. So maybe maybe that's my next. Maybe that's the next thing I jump
Yeah.
in just for
Or
fun.
if you're someone listening and you've liked Lost Crown, you might like the Game Boy, the Game Boy version of Sands of Time.
You know what? Fuck it. It's $14.99 for the standard edition, and I'm buying it right now.
Yeah, listeners, he's
So
never playing it.
that's
He's
not true.
never
You've seen my
gonna
Steam
play it.
library.
He's never gonna
There's a lot of things I never play, but I will play
Yeah.
this.
Okay. Well, I'm
So
let me know because it's been
it's asking for my credit card security code, which is never a good sign.
it's not
That's
usually.
usually the blocker for me to buy something, but we're gonna pull it out now.
Oh no! You get a podcast and a drink sent him, and he's buying
Yep.
video games on the
Yep,
spot.
I gotta actually follow through. All right, Prince of Persia: Lost Crown has been purchased because of
Okay, hell yeah!
once
Of
again,
this podcast.
I did jump into this game. I did have to map my controller to actually to able to play it because the fucking keyboard was not working for me. But I
Oh,
cannot recommend it enough. It was a very enjoyable time.
hell yeah! That is awesome, and you've actually got me very intrigued. Again, I just finished playing the PS2 version, and this looks like a ton of fun. And even though if it might not share similar narrative beats with the first game, that's kind of what I loved. Okay, he's fighting a fucking massive chimera. That's what I loved about these games is like them not having to kind of really stick to the source material, and they can kind of which added some level of creativity the developers had to have because they had to adapt these to whatever they were creating, whether it's a 2D platformer, a puzzle game, or whatever. And I think that's cool. Again, you get things like this where it's like Prince of Persia: Sands of Time on the surface, but very different narrative and very different experience than its console counterpart, which I think is cool. Okay, well, one of my first games, and you guys know that I love Pokemon. We talked about Pokemon games on here, but I'm not going to be talking about a mainline Pokemon game because everyone knows how great those are.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to be talking about a
I
spin-off.
think we might have the same game on our list.
It's not Mystery Dungeon if that's what you're thinking.
Oh, good.
Okay,
Okay.
yes. I was going to do Mystery Dungeon, but I also love Mystery Dungeon, so I wanted to, similar to Kai, I wanted to jump into a game that I had played before, kind of as his first one, but never finished. This is Pokemon Pinball. So, y'all,
That is a good game.
Pokemon Pinball in an era of your Balatros and your these very like roguelike, and granted it's not like a roguelike, but these like by the numbers kind of games. Pokemon Pinball is right up there. Imagine mixing like that kind of like pinball
So
gameplay,
good.
but using the ball. The ball itself is a
Oh.
Pokeball, and using that to catch Pokemon. Yo, it was so much fun. And I don't know about you as you were playing through some of
They
these.
should do this more.
Yes, I would love a modern version of it. Put it on the Switch NSO
It's
first of
and it's
all.
not even about like the pinball aspect. It's just like I guess Pokecopia is a version of this, which is like what can you do in the
Spin-off.
Pokemon universe outside of a JRPG?
Yeah,
But this is underrated.
yeah.
Like, especially for, I think there was a whole generation of people who the only free game on Windows for a very long time was Microsoft Pinball. And
Mm.
the same thing for
Yep.
Apple on
Yep.
like Apple, or before Apple Arcade, it was, whatever the App Store was before it was the App Store. But like, you would play the pinball and there was like a weird sandbox racing game.
Mm.
This is a genre that needs some love, which
Yeah.
is the pinball adaptation game, and I remember playing so much of this.
Yes, not only that, but we talked about the e-reader. This is how some you got some of the Pokemon. You could scan them with the Pokemon card e-reader, and they would pop up
Yes.
in your Pokemon pinball, and you would use the ball to capture them. I only played maybe about an hour or so of this, so I didn't get super far. But I'm gonna continue playing this just because I had so much fun
Mm.
playing it, and the Game Boy Advance has just I don't know if you feel this way too, but I just love the pixel graphics of the Game Boy
Mhm.
Advance
Yeah.
and this era of Pokemon Pinball. And here, you know what? We'll share more screens
This
because oh, that's the
also,
wrong
I
screen.
I
Don't look at that.
believe, was one of the games that had the Rumble pack with it for the color.
Maybe
I
I
think
don't
it
remember.
was, because the original, none of the Game Boys actually had Rumble with them. That was a very console
Yeah,
thing. But in looking at this, there was a Pokemon
look
pinball
at
that
that.
had
Look at
a
Kyogre.
double A battery attachment in which you could get Rumble with it. This is the advanced one.
Yes.
There's also there was an original Pokemon pinball for Game Boy Color, which I also remember
Oh,
playing.
interesting. Are you sure?
Yes, I am very sure, because I
Pokemon
remember I
Pinball
remember playing
Game
it as well.
Boy.
Game Boy Color
Oh, you're
Pokemon pinball.
right.
Yeah.
How have I feel like I've never heard of this?
I don't know. Maybe I got this at one of my swap meets. Because I don't remember the advanced version. I
Oh,
remember
interesting.
the color version.
The color version looks like it's like the like Pokemon Gold and Silver art style. It's
Yes,
like that
it
like
is.
look to
It's
it.
very basic art style, but yes,
Yeah.
there's the advanced version that came out
Yeah.
later.
I didn't
Which
play this. I only played the advanced version. Which
yeah,
is just as good. Again, if you're someone that likes the very Balatro kind of a mix or a recreation of like this classic game like pinball and mixing it with like collecting Pokemon and going through your Pokedex and connecting it to I think it's connected to the Pokemon Coliseum too at some point.
that's what we call synergy, folks. It all
Synergy,
connects
baby.
together.
It all connects. But yes, I honestly think Pokemon Pinball holds up so much in 2026. And unfortunately, we haven't gotten a ton of Pokemon games that come to NSO. We got Mystery Dungeon, but I think that's the only Pokemon game. Pinball would fit perfectly on NSO.
Bring it back.
Bring it back, baby. Bring it back.
It's time. It's
It's
time
time.
for a Pokemon pinball game.
Yeah.
Also, think of all the fun that you could combine it with TCG. You could combine it with
Oh,
whatever the
dude, I would
most recent
love this
Pokemon
so
game is that
much.
I haven't played because I don't have a Switch.
Scarlet and Violet. You have Scarlet and Violet.
No, I have
Oh,
Scarlet
ZA.
DA, which is the
Yes.
newest one. Think of all the times you could do. You could do the cards again. You could do like an augmented reality scan in of the cards. So many opportunities to make
Yeah.
money.
You
Come
look,
on.
I'm not usually for the very capitalist approach of how can I milk this for money, but I would be down if you milk this for money because I would
Fine.
purchase this.
Yes. Make it, you know what? Make it an app. Make it like TCG.
Yo,
Give me
yes.
Pokemon Pinball on my phone. I will play it, saying it right now.
You know, I think there's randomizers of this. Pokemon
That's
Pinball
awesome.
Nuzlocke win.
That's fucking sick. I would do
Yeah,
that.
yeah. That's my first recommendation. So sending back over to you, Kai, for your next one.
Keeping in the adaptation
Mm.
vein, this is a game I played a lot of.
Okay.
I have a distinct memory of playing this game. This is If this is not a representation of the person I am today. I remember playing this game at a high school football game. My parents are both educators; they work at high school, so I would have to attend a
I
lot of
went to a lot of football
sports
games as a
ball,
kid. Yeah.
which I did not enjoy because I am that kind of person. But I did play a lot of this game, which is Harry Potter and the Chamber of
Yo, I remember
Secrets.
playing a ton of this on Game Boy Advance. That's
So much
hilarious.
of this game. And it's pretty faithful to the actual movie. You got the spider section, you got the fucking screaming plant section, you make potions, You fight in the fucking Defense Against the Dark Arts. It is a perfect facsimile of the Harry Potter and Chamber of Secrets. Now, I will say
I don't remember there being a
there
giant demon turtle in the movie.
there's a lot of weird. They do take some
Some
artistic
creative liberties.
license, yeah, down the road. I will say there is a Harry Potter and Sorcerer's Stone game for Game Boy, which I did watch some gameplay of, and it looks a little less polished than the sequel. I didn't play that one for some reason. I only had
Chamber of
fucking
Secrets.
the Chamber Secrets for the sequel for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
But I played a lot of this game. There's good like potion mechanics. There's very interesting like RPG elements in which you're upgrading like the specific spells, the things that you interact with. There's Quidditch.
This is what
If
I
you're
remember the
interested in
most. I
that,
remember playing. I don't know. I don't remember if there is a specific Quidditch game for the Game Boy, or if it's just the
it's
this that I
just the
remember.
Quidditch sections of the Pokemon games. But yes,
So much of this. I played so
yeah.
much of this.
Yes, it's pretty good. Like as of all the games that I played at this point in time, it was definitely I will say like a lot of Game Boy games are not very detailed. They're very
Mm-hmm.
like, you know,
Yeah, they're very
kind of
simple in
like
their art styles and
they're very
everything.
simple.
Yeah.
They're very repetitive. They're very like what you to expect. Like even Prince of Persia, as you work through the levels, you kind of understand the mechanics. Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets has a lot going on. It's a very traditional like RPG, JRPG,
Yeah.
where
I don't.
you kind of upgrade the amount of things you're able to do. The characters appear, the classics: Dumbledore, Hagrid, Snape. Like they all come together, and you're kind of working your way through the entire movie, as it were, while upgrading your spells and upgrading your potions to be able to complete the game. It's I think it's one of the best movie adaptation games that I've ever played, especially in this time where there's a fuck ton of movie adaptation games that kind of fall short of living up to
Yeah.
the
I don't.
movie itself.
I don't know what it is about, like, and maybe this is very similar when I'm hearing, people older, the generation, the 10 years older than me talking about the SNES and the NES, but there's something about like the simplistic graphics of the Game Boy Advance that are just like they're very endearing. It's a very charming looking
Mhm.
game, even though it's like it's not good. It's not a good
No,
looking game. Look at Hagrid.
no,
Look at
no.
him.
It's not. It's definitely
Look at this
not
big Kingdom
good.
Hearts shoes that he has on here.
No, it's just it's fine.
Yeah.
It will do as it did. Where I can get it for 11. I can get $7 from GameStop,
You can.
but I would have to buy a Game Boy Advance, which
Or you can just download the emulator and then play it that
I
way.
could, and that's all free.
You know what
Which
I'll
I
do?
don't know. I might, I now understand because, like, here's the thing: this is the first console that
Yeah.
we actually have any connection with. Because there's definitely a generation of gamers before us that are
Mhm.
like, "Oh, I love SNES.
Yeah.
I love like all these like vintage consoles." I'm finally getting to the point where I'm old enough to be nostalgic about something, and
Yeah.
this is the thing I'm nostalgic about. And I'm like, oh, I could recapture my youth of
Well,
playing Harry Potter and the
not only that,
fucking
but like
Sorcerer's
all the
Stone.
games that I'm going to be talking about today, I did again a lot of my PSP. I played all of them on here, and there's something just about playing on like a little tactile little Game Boy that just like scratches. It's not a Game Boy on the PlayStation, but it just scratches an itch in my brain that like playing it through an emulator with an Xbox controller that it just doesn't replicate the same feelings, and it's so good.
It's
See what I'll
good.
do is I'll just dump a ton of those games on here, and you can just borrow it. Then you can just play a ton of the games on the PSP.
Deal. It's so frustrating that so many of that first of all that people are grading these games.
Dude, I saw that. I saw a ton of Game Boy, not only Game Boy games, but games in general being graded. I'm like, that's crazy.
That's
that is
so
that
hurtful.
is
It's like, come on,
insane.
man. It's not the
Yeah.
my childhood should not be this commodified, but also it shouldn't be $8,000 to have a PSA 8.5 of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire for GBA.
Was there
That's
a
not.
GBA version of Goblet of Fire? That's crazy.
Oh, there's literally all of the games up until I think or all the movies up until like the fifth one that were on GBA.
That's crazy.
Um,
Yeah, the GBA went for a while.
yeah,
So
hurtful.
going back to another nostalgia game. These first two were kind of like nostalgic games that I played a little bit and I wanted to see, like Kai said, I want to see how well they held up. Um, Going to it actually, I think this anime is still running. There's still versions of this anime that are airing now,
Beyblade.
but the game I'm recommending is Beyblade V Force
Damn, I fucking called it
for the Game Boy Advance. Yeah, you nailed it. That's crazy.
Damn.
I played so much of this, and I remember loving it. And even going back now, it's a little frustrating. Its controls, everything kind of feels like an ice level, which is not fun.
I played so much of this game.
But if you like things like Super Monkey Ball, and if you like things, there's another game that was like an old PC game that was like this too, where you're like controlling a marble. It was called like marbles or something on like the track, and you're like rolling it around.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yes, what was that?
I don't
It was
remember.
for Mac.
Maybe. But that's essentially what
Yes.
Beyblade V-Force is. You're going through this course as a Beyblade, and it's like kind of precision platforming. You're trying not to fall off the edges. Sometimes enemy Beyblades. I realize that someone listening to this might not know what a Beyblade is.
That's crazy.
And I don't even know how to describe what a Beyblade.
A Beyblade is essentially a top.
Nah, people still use Beyblades, right?
But imagine if a top entered the world of anime. You're like you know a dreidel, but
Dreidel, but anime?
Japanese essentially, and then they
That's confusing.
battle each other. But in this version, they don't really battle each other because it's more about navigating an actual maze. For some
I do remember there
reason.
being like boss fights in this game, though. I didn't get to any when I played for this episode specifically. A lot of it was just platforming.
So to add on to this commentary about Beyblade V Force, so there's Beyblade V Force.
There's a ton of Beyblade
There's
games,
also,
by the way.
well, but hold on. There's also Beyblade G Force. Different,
Okay.
similar. Beyblade V Force is a puzzle game in which you navigate a Beyblade through.
That's the one I played.
No. I'm sorry. G Revolution is the game that I'm talking about, which very confusing. Beyblade V Force, you're navigating through a puzzle. Beyblade G Revolution is a RPG game in which essentially you do battles between Beyblades, and it's kind of like the first season of what is that anime with fucking where you're navigating the tower, and you're going up every level and you're trying to get to the top of the tower.
Tower of God?
No. What is the
Sword Art Online?
No.
Okay, I need a little more context.
Hold on, I'm gonna figure it out.
Anime about climbing the tower and going up a tower. Is this like a Numa anime? Is this like a
No, this is
anime?
old. This
anime.
is real old. This is the same generation
as Beyblade. So like early 2000s.
It's fighting.
It's Dreamer. Oh, Hunter x Hunter?
Hunter x Hunter. Yes.
You love that. How did you forget you love that show?
I've watched so many 90s animes, but yes, Hunter x Hunter. It's the same exact concept in which you've entered a kind of like battle arena and you're trying to work your way up.
And this
bosses.
is G-Force is what you're talking about? Oh.
This is G Revolution.
Oh, G Revolution.
Which I also had on the Game Boy Advance. But I would say that if you are a fan of the like monkey ball puzzle pinball game, I can't remember the name of the one on Mac, but this is a perfect Game Boy game for you. You will very much enjoy this. Also, Beyblades are one of those other things that for some reason are like $8,000 on eBay now.
That's crazy.
Everything from our childhood is unreasonably expensive.
What's why is because people are our age now, are in their 30s, and they're spending this money on these things, which is skyrocketing the price. This is cool. This reminds me a lot of Legacy of Goku, which is not on my recommendations now, and I don't know how well it holds up, but Legacy of Goku 1 and 2 on GBA are both great games. But it kind of is what this looks like, where it's like kind of like isometric. You're walking around, and then you get into like altercations, and this one specifically with Beyblades. But this is cool. So yeah, you got either one. If you want like the RPG side of things, you can check out G-Force Revolution, and if you want something that's more like puzzle platformer, then you can check out V-Force, which is the one that I had brought today. So
I want to buy Beyblade so bad.
No, this is a bad idea. I got behind you for Lost Crown, but I'm not gonna let you buy a Beyblade
for only $1,000.
Sure,
I can buy
Beyblade for cheaper.
I can get 75 Beyblades.
Oh, see, that's just too many. You don't need that many Beyblades. Do you remember like
Oh.
mix and matching parts and like the metal ones and everything too?
Okay, this is a story I probably shouldn't tell
Okay,
on
this
this
may be a bad
podcast because
idea.
it's definitely inappropriate. But I was camping in my
Were you digging
backyard
a
as a
Beyblade?
youth. Yes, and still to this day I have the scar from it.
That's
So
crazy.
I ripped a Beyblade, but held it because you can hold the bottom and the top together as it spins, and I put it against my
What part of you
penis.
thought that was a good idea?
I was trying to be cool, just with another young boy in a tent, trying to be cool. And I permanently disfigured my penis, which is, I don't recommend. God, I want to buy. You can buy 80 Beyblades for $484.
Why didn't you just buy like a hand, like two or three? Like, why did you buy 80 of them?
Because why wouldn't you? I also went to a Beyblade tournament in downtown Disney in Anaheim when I was a child, and it
That's
really
crazy.
inspired me to be competitive into Beyblade. And then I saw some people who had like custom metal
People
Beyblades, and that
still
really.
compete now. People still compete in Beyblade competitions now.
Okay, hold on. I need to share my screen. Imagine. Here you are. Where are you? Here you are.
Oh.
Okay, hold on. Oh, nope, that's the wrong one. Yes, here we go. I understand. I understand that this could be dangerous to share. Look at how fucking cool that is. You could have a case of
That
Beyblades.
is, what's wild is I recently had gone to a Pokemon card convention, and there's people, which I guess I understand because some Pokemon cards are like hundreds of thousands of dollars, but there's people that walk in with like metal industry grade briefcases for their graded cards, which is
You just
insane.
you pop out a briefcase and you just have 30 Beyblades inside of it, and you're like, let me decide which one of these I want to pull out and battle with.
Yeah. Beyblades, yes. Beyblade. That was my second one, right? Or my third?
Yes, that was your first, I believe.
No, I talked about pinball, Pokemon pinball.
Oh, you're correct. That is your second.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. So it's all on to you, sir.
This is my third.
This is your third.
Okay. I didn't want to do a traditional Pokemon game for this list because that would be cheap.
Yep, I feel that.
It's Emerald. Emerald is the best. You should just play
Just play
Emerald.
Emerald.
If you're listening to this, just play Emerald. It is probably the best Game Boy Advance game ever made.
Yep.
I can't recommend it enough. But
Not agree.
if we're not talking about traditional Game Boy Pokemon games, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Fire Red Rescue.
So fucking good.
So good. They should still make these.
They do. They're just bad. The last one, they actually did a remake of this on the Switch, which was fine. It just didn't have like the charm of the pixel graphics, and it was like 3D Pokemon and everything.
Getting mail from
Pelipper?
a fucking Pelipper, classic.
So good.
Classic way to open a game. But I remember I played this at a family dinner at a local Mexican restaurant. I have so many like weird specific memories of playing these games at specific locations.
I really appreciate it.
But yes, I would play this at Ruby's restaurant in Oxnard, California.
Yo, it's gonna dox us like that is crazy.
Yes, to dox the place I no longer live but lived as a child. It was a very fun game.
Yeah.
Like, it was for someone who enjoyed Pokemon. It wasn't like your traditional Pokemon game. It was more of a, how would you classify this? Because I can't say JRPG because technically Pokemon's a JRPG, but it's more of it's a
dungeon crawler for sure. And there is a version like this type of game existed before Mystery Dungeon, right? This kind of game was in Japan. There has now been like Final Fantasy games that are in this. There's other like dungeon crawler games like this, and they just did it with Pokemon.
Yes, and there's no like Pokemon trainer in these games. It's all about playing as Pokemon themselves, interacting with other Pokemon, kind of working your way through the world of Pokemon without human input, as it were. So you're kind of exploring, which is a very interesting premise, right? Because a lot of the Pokemon games, you're a trainer, you're trying to get Elite Four. Pokemon themselves don't play an active role in the game other than for battling. This is kind of like a subversion of the experience of what it is like to be a Pokemon within the game itself. And I really enjoyed these games.
It-
It was a refreshing thing to play in between playing, Emerald and Leaf Green
yeah.
and Fire Red.
Pokemon Mystery Dungeon walked so things like Pokopia could run, right? Like this
That's
is
true. That's true.
yes, this
It really did.
these
Yeah.
games is kind of what I'm learning as I'm playing through Pokopia. Like I obviously love Pokemon. I love traditional Pokemon. I love battling. But what I've learned in kind of where some of the recent games have fallen short is they've just done a bad job, like with Scarlet and Violet, and not so much Legends ZA, but a little bit Legends ZA, of just like creating a world of intrigue and an interesting world building throughout the games. And maybe again, it's like what you're saying, the kind of the subversion aspect where you're going into a world where you're a Pokemon interacting with other Pokemon and how Pokemon will interact with each other in this kind of fantasy world. But
Mhm.
that brings up the between like the Pokemon personalities and how they live and how they interact. It brings up so much personality in these games, and it helps it like flesh out the world so much. Like again, the whole mystery in Mystery Dungeon is you're a human that got turned into a Pokemon somehow. And you're trying to
Mhm.
go ahead and you're just, existing in this world and being part of the rescue team, but also trying to figure out how you can turn back into a human. And it's, I don't think it's this one, but they did Red Rescue Team, and I actually learned recently Blue Rescue Team came out on the DS, which was interesting. And they had
Yes.
Explorers of Sky, which was also on the DS. Which is, I think there's Explorers of Darkness, Explorers of Time, and then Sky was like the third one. And stay tuned to the podcast because there may be a Get Wrecked where I'm talking about Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, Explorers of Sky. But the other thing that these games did is they actually had kind of an like a deep narrative. Like these characters actually
Yeah.
had like emotions to them, and the storytelling was really good. Like, oh, Mystery Dungeon is so fun.
I also think it was a way for Pokemon to be a little bit more complex. Like, I
Yeah.
think there's obviously a traditional gameplay loop within the traditional Pokemon games, like catch Pokemon, do
Hmm.
battles, level them up in XP, take them to a gym. This is a way for them to kind of step out of that
Yeah.
traditional kind of gameplay loop and like add some additional features of more of a traditional like RPG mechanic of leveling up different stats, of going to like I remember the central town board and like finding missions to do
Hmm.
that you need to complete, and then like also having more of a reliance on, I mean, obviously people who professionally kind of compete in Pokemon or play Pokemon have a lot of reliance on the items themselves, but as someone who is more just like a, I'm gonna level one Pokemon up and try to make it better than
Like that
anything else. Like
memes you
these,
sent me.
yeah, exactly. Yes, having one jacked Pokemon and a bunch of death fodder. This is definitely more of a game that required you to like interact with the items you're receiving, interact with companions, interact with other characters, and like try to figure out how to be successful at this
Yeah.
game.
Not only that, but like surprisingly deep game too, in
Yeah,
like all the items that you can use. And
absolutely.
if you die, it's almost like a roguelike because if you died in the dungeon, you got kicked to the beginning of it, or you had to restart the dungeon over again.
I think there's also a very interesting thing that's almost done by no other game, in which playing this game, the way that you navigated through the dungeons themselves is they would build themselves as like an overlay over
Mm,
your screen. So you would see the map
yeah,
itself, because obviously the Game Boy was pretty limited in its ability to like have sub menus and maps. So you'd be able to see the map as you're navigating it over your main screen, which is like a very convenient idea because you know
yeah,
exactly where you are in terms of where you've been and where you're going, and you're able to navigate a lot easier, especially in something like a dungeon
yeah.
crawler, which is something I haven't seen since, which would
Also,
be nice to see.
we see a lot of it now, and as of this recording we're playing through Dispatch in games that have like narrative choices. But this game, in the beginning, you take a personality test and it gives you your Pokemon. Like you take a
That's
test and
true.
you get to decide, I think between like 10 or so Pokemon of what your Pokemon
Yes.
gets to be, which is kind
Who
of
you
fun.
best represent.
You know what we should do? They have
Which I believe at the time I was Psyduck, which was very disappointing
no, that
personally.
tracks.
Uh,
That tracks.
that's hurtful. I am a very anxious person, but also was
Yeah.
hurtful as a child. So
We should play. They have a randomizers of this where you can play any Pokemon, and we should play through.
we should play this.
Yes, like for the podcast.
No, just
Oh, okay.
personally, me and you should. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna. I'm not gonna force Ben to play this fucking game.
No,
It's
yeah, I
gonna be
would love to play
miserable.
Mystery Dungeon. We can kind of
But we should play a randomized version of Mystery Dungeon because we've played
okay,
so many randomized versions
of like the
of
mainline
other
games.
Pokemon games. I think we
When
should.
was
This
the
should
last
be our
time you
next.
ran Mystery Dungeon? Since you were a kid?
When I was 11,
Yeah.
I think was the last time
We
I
should
ever touched
do
Mystery
Explorers of
Dungeon.
Sky because I'm playing that anyways for the podcast. So
Okay, let me look at that
that was the
because
that's the
my
DS. That was the DS version.
my knowledge of Pokemon Mystery Dungeon ended at the Game Boy Advance.
Yeah.
So
Explorers of
Explorers.
Sky has not only like one of the best the Mystery Dungeon games having the best narrative, but it has a surprisingly deep and emotional narrative. Like that is such a good game.
This does look graphically much better
Yes,
than the
because
original.
this was the one on the DS. But I mean, either
Yeah.
this or Explorers of Sky, I'm fine with
But
playing.
this even looks graphically good for a DS game because there's a lot of
Yeah.
questionable DS games, if I'm being
Yo, I
honest,
was
that they
looking at
kind of
DS
just
games the other day. They had Call of Duty Black Ops for the Nintendo DS, which is kind of crazy.
exactly what I'm talking about. A
Yeah.
lot of games where you're like, this was not improved by putting it on
Yeah.
two screens on a console that
Yeah.
couldn't run two screens. So
And for the people at home, Red Rescue Team is on NSO. So you can play this on your Switch right now.
hell yeah.
You can go and play
Go
it
play it.
right now.
Go play it and tell me how it is.
Well, listen to our
because
podcast first, and then you can go
I
play.
don't. Yeah, no, leave right now
Get
before
out.
Jared announces his last and final game.
Yeah.
And go play.
I may
Mystery
be
Dungeon.
you said you have 4, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I might pull up another one because I have 3, but I can get a 4th that I have because I've been playing a lot of Game Boy games on the PSP recently. My next game is not a game that I grew up playing. Is not a game that I knew really anything about before playing it. I jumped into this just because I am thoroughly obsessed with the TV show. But this is the One Piece game for the Game Boy Advance, which I only jumped into because it's One Piece and I fucking love One Piece. And what I
To clarify, this is a recent. We did not have this as children.
no. Yeah, I like I said, I'd never played this before. I'd never played this game
Gotcha.
before, and the only reason I downloaded it and played it was because I like One Piece, and I was like, oh, I kind of want to play a One Piece game. And what I found is like a really deep and competent like beat 'em up platformer. Like I beat this game. I front to back beat it. I played like 6 hours of this game, which is not very long, but I feel like for a Game Boy game can run pretty long. But like you play as Luffy and you run through kind of the first handful of arcs in the very beginning of the show, which was kind of fun because I'm deep into One Piece at this point. I'm not cut up, but I'm in the 900 episodes at this point. So it's kind of fun going back to the originals. But you play as Luffy and you only have him and you have your crew that are kind of more support characters. So you can kind of send them out at any time. But usually for 2D platformers, you either have like a punch or a kick, and then if you're playing games like Metroid, you'll have like different weapons and abilities. You have like missiles and guns or whatever. So Luffy has kind of the punch and the kick, but depending on different kind of direction holds that you do, similar to a fighting game, if it's like punch up R or punch left L, Luffy has like 30 different moves that you can do, which again was like I feel like was pretty deep for a Game Boy One Piece game. And while the story is very rudimentary, it's just a very simple going through quickly the early moments of the anime, and the enemy variety is very lacking. You fight pretty much the same enemy throughout the entire game. It was fun. It was like surprisingly deep for a Game Boy Advance game, and I was not expecting to love it as much as I did.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think you should play.
And you love fucking One Piece, so it's a perfect it's a combination of beautiful interests coming together.
Like One Piece,
your nostalgia of youth, and also the nostalgia of trying to get through 1,800 episodes of a television show.
There's only
1,200 having a child. Both of those things coming to having a child. Both of those things coming together is glorious.
You know what's sad is I had started following an account, and it was a guy, and he was watching One Piece, and he's like he's a charismatic guy, and he also has no knowledge of it.
He died of old age trying to get through fucking One Piece. Is that what happened?
No, I'm sad because like he started like last year, but he's caught up to where I am, and now I can't watch him anymore because I haven't got. He's passed me. He's lapped me in One Piece.
He lapped you in One Piece.
He lapped me, and now I can't watch his content anymore, and I'm sad about it.
That's rough. You hate to see it, folks.
My problem is honestly, you could finish One Piece in like 6 months with how people binge watch TV shows. I watch one episode a day, maybe, And so with 1,200 episodes, you can see how that could. I also take like very long breaks. This episode's not about One Piece, but it's a good show.
But it is about One Piece, really.
That's true. It's about the Game Boy Advance game, which I think honestly holds up genuinely in 2026 as a pretty fun platformer.
Yes.
Okay, your last game.
Okay, my last game. This is the only. Oh,
yes. Can I try to guess what it is?
You're not gonna guess.
Okay, that's why I retracted the statement.
I don't know if you know if you. Well, I mean, you can. What do you think it is?
Can I ask questions?
Sure.
Is this a game that we both played?
I don't honestly know. It is a game I owned on Game Boy in 2008, but I don't know if we shared a lot of games, so it's hard to remember.
Is this a game based off of an existing franchise?
Yes.
Okay. Was this an anime?
No.
Was this the Mummy Game Boy Advance game? Yo, if that was true,
that game fucking rocked. It was awesome.
Is it a movie tie-in?
No.
But
this is I will say this is a classic game franchise, classic Nintendo game franchise.
Okay.
A character in Smash.
Oh, a carrot? Is it a Donkey Kong game? A character in Smash? Is it a Mario game?
It not only is it a character in Smash, it is the only.
Oh, it's a Kirby. It's a Kirby game. It's Kirby in the magical mirror.
Another wonderful game, not the game I'm
Amazing
talking about.
This is what I was thinking.
I've played multiple Kirby games. This is the only version of this franchise I've ever actually played.
It's not a Fire Emblem. You've never played a Fire Emblem game.
I've never. You would know if I play Fire Emblem. I know nothing about Fire Emblem.
It's a Smash character. Is it F-Zero?
No. The main protagonist of this game is a female.
Oh, it's Metroid.
It is Metroid.
Is it Fusion?
But no, I didn't ever play Fusion, which is apparently the one that everyone likes.
I played Fusion 2 years ago for the first time. Fusion is really good.
Yeah, I've never actually played the good one. Apparently, I've only played Metroid
Zero Mission.
Mission, yes, which is the one I had. Which I assume a lot of the Game Boy Advance games I ended up with are solely because my family purchased Game Boy games from the discount pile at Toys R Us. I was never allowed to look at the new wall of games. It was only like, you get this bin, choose something for the bin, which is how I ended up with Metroid Zero Mission.
Which is a remake of the first Metroid game, by the way.
Which I wouldn't have known as a child. In 2004, I would have never or probably when I was playing this 2007, 3 years after this fucking game came out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of like your traditional side-scrolling Metroid game, missiles, guns, going through it, completing levels, killing enemies. But I had a blast playing this game. And I watched some gameplay of this, and it was very nostalgic for me, especially it has a very what was that fucking game we played? That was like the like goopy body horror is what I will describe it as. Scorn. It has a very Scorn aesthetic.
Interesting.
A lot of this game is like bugs and eyes and body parts. It's very like that. Like that is what it is reminiscent of. And I never completed this game. It was too hard for me as a 8-year-old at the time. But I remember really enjoying it and thinking it's cool that I get to shoot missiles and shoot things and battle enemies. And I would just play kind of the first couple of levels over and over and over and over again on the Game Boy Advance. So this is my next recommendation. I might actually go play this. I focus more.
It's on. You don't want to switch anymore, do you?
I don't.
Never mind.
Well, I do. My wife has taken it.
Oh, she's been playing Animal Crossing, huh?
Fully invested in Animal Crossing, which I fear if I try to take it away from her, it's not going to lead to positive things in my relationship. So instead, I will just emulate this on my PC. But I do remember playing this, and in my enjoyment of playing through Prince of Persia: Sands of Time, I think I'm going to play some more Game Boy games from my youth. I think some enjoyment of the nostalgia, some enjoyment of just the mechanic of a basic 2D side-scrolling platformer. So, but I remember playing a lot of this. I remember really enjoying it, and I remember thinking at the time it was very cool. Like for some reason, I in all of the games that I had, I kind of like made this an adult game. Like I felt like I got away with something that my parents didn't know I was playing this, and then it was something that I
Yeah.
wasn't supposed to be playing. So
I
yeah.
I can attest to Zero Mission because I never played Zero Mission, but if you're going down this rabbit hole and you're wanting to try more, if you're not burnt out from the series, Fusion is very good. I played Fusion a couple years ago in like 2024 or so. Fusion is very good. I loved Fusion. Fusion was a good time.
Yeah. I will say that in looking at like, because I wanted to see if any of the games that I liked were on like the top 10 list of all time GBA games. They weren't. I just want to be clear. None of the games I recommended were on those lists, but Metroid Fusion specifically was on those lists. So
Yeah.
maybe I will give that a try. I'll try the
Yeah.
best version of what I'm talking about.
So for my final one, I want to do an honorable mention, which are games that are just good Game Boy games, so it's hard to recommend them because they're already good. I want to talk about Mario and Luigi Superstar.
Pokemon Emerald.
Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, fantastic turn-based Mario game. If you like things like the Paper Mario franchise, that is right up there with fantastic turn-based games. Kirby and the Amazing Mirror, that's another really good Game Boy game that I'm pretty sure both of us played a ton.
Yes.
Zelda Minish Cap I played that 3 years ago or so, and that is my favorite 2D top-down Zelda game. That is hands down one of the best 2D Zelda games. Minish Cap is so good. It has Wind Waker Link, which is, in my opinion, probably one of the best links that we've had so far. It's great. Minish Cap is a great time.
Play Minish Cap. Do it.
Play Minish Cap. It's also on NSO.
I will say, if you've never played any Game Boy games before and you're just solely starting, you're like, I want to play my first top-down 2D isometric Game Boy game, that's where you should start. It's Minish Cap by far. It is the most. It is like good. They figured out the peak of what you could do on a Game Boy Advance.
Not only that was like, but again, Minish Cap is kind of like the peak of creativity because the whole idea is Link is shrinking down to this microscopic level and being able to play around with perspective on a Game Boy Advance like that, where they have like there's giant leaves and like little puddles or like lakes that you have to try to traverse, and being able to jump between the two is impressive.
Look at any of the other games we've talked about graphically on the Game Boy Advance, and then look at Minish Cap, and you'll be like, this is the same console. I don't understand how this is the same console. It is night and day. What they were able to do, much like a lot of the Zelda games, and being able to push Nintendo's actual graphical abilities at the time, it really was the pinnacle of like, this is what you are able to do on something, especially just because obviously Zelda is so closely partnered with Nintendo as a company. I think they have the inside kind of knowledge of what it's able to do. But Minish Cap, incredible. And also just a beautiful game.
Beautiful. Once we've hit our 50s and we finally finish the GameCube series, we should do that, but with Game Boy games, and just play through a bunch of Game Boy games.
Yeah, we'll be 80 by the time that we finish that series, because there's approximately 12,000 Game Boy games that came out. Also, there's a lot of shitty Game Boy games, if I'm being honest, that should never be revisited.
My last honorable mention, which is going to lead into my actual recommendation, is Lego Star Wars on the Game Boy Advance. I see screenshots of that and it just flushes me with nostalgia. I have a fun anecdote, which I think I've told on the podcast before, but me and my middle brother, Zach, which I apologize to him every time I see him, but me and Kai tortured that poor boy.
Poor boy.
We did.
Yeah, we were not nice children.
Yeah. He was the younger brother syndrome, so we just,
we just bullied the
shit. Bullied him, which is not great. But anyways, I remember one time that he like made me upset, and I deleted his like almost 100% Lego Star Wars like file on Game Boy, and he cried a lot, and I feel terrible.
And I still to this day remember feeling bad. And feeling bad is the most important part. Doing something wrong and feeling bad is life. I remember playing so much.
I see screenshots of this, and I so much. But the game that I'm going to recommend is not one that I've played, so grain of salt. Actually, no, I have played a small bit of it, but not. I didn't play it for this podcast. It is Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith for the Game Boy Advance. And when you look this up, tell me this isn't. Look at these fucking Jack's Pacific character models that are in this game. But I remember having such a fun time playing the small amounts of Episode 3.
Why would they do this? Because there's Star Wars Episode 1, and then there's
Yes.
Star Wars Episode 2 for the Game Boy
But
Advance,
look at
which are
3.
both Lego Star Wars games. But this is Episode 3, and this is real bad. This is not
Look at
good.
these fucking Fisher Price as
What does this look like? It's not Fisher Price. There's something
I
specifically that
I
this.
don't know.
It's almost like Jetpack Hero. Oh, it's so specific. But yes,
I know you're probably looking at them as well, but I just also wanted to pull them up for the stream so you can see. Look at Anakin over here.
Yeah,
Look at
it's
him.
real. It's real bad. It's
Look at
not good.
So if you're not watching the video, I'm so sorry.
Droids up there. I handle them. Oh, it's real. It's real rough.
I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna download this and I'm gonna play it.
I don't. What you know? What I was saying about
General Grievous,
Minish Cap being the peak.
Dude, this is the opposite end of the spectrum.
This is still at the end of the life of the Game Boy Advance, and they still have no idea. They're like, they didn't figure it out. They were like, we'll just do shading, and it's so bad. It looks so bad.
Yeah. But yeah, those are our recommendations.
And is this, you haven't played this, or you have played this?
I don't remember. I think when I saw screenshots of this, I looked up Lego Star Wars, and then I saw this, and I was like, "Oh, this looks familiar." I've played this before, but I have not played it. I was like maybe a little bit as a kid. I played way more Lego Star Wars.
Not played this. This is I would have remembered because as a child would have thought this was incredible.
I think the problem is that the younger brother that I was talking about, that Kai and I tortured, he loved Star Wars.
Yeah.
He loved, especially like Revenge of the Sith, all of the newer Star Wars movies. Obviously, it was like his generation as he was growing up. So I had a lot of Star Wars around me. So he probably had it and played it, and I played some of it too because he loved Star Wars as a kid and Revenge of the Sith. So
he was a child whose favorite color was red, and I think that that says everything you need to know.
Yeah, it was. I don't know if it's still red, but it definitely was red. I don't know.
It was red. For most of our childhood, it was red.
Yeah, he cosplayed Anakin Skywalker a lot too. He really loved that movie.
Yeah, well, cosplayed is not the term we used at the time, but yes. Now in hindsight, it was cosplay.
He's playing dress up.
He dressed up as Anakin Skywalker.
But yeah, those are our games, our Game Boy Advance games that we think you all should be playing in 2026. And honestly, again, with just AAA gaming and all of these big publishers laying off studios and
fuck them. Go play Game Boy games.
Yeah, and all of these games, live service games, not even lasting a month. RIP to High Guard. Like now, it feels like
honestly, I'm surprised Marathon's still around. If I'm being 100% transparent, a game that we both played, I got an advertisement for Marathon yesterday, and I was like, oh, "You're still here?"
Marathon. Yeah, that's from a big development studio like Bungie, so that's probably fine. And Sony does own them, but Sony's fucking cutting things left and right, so who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows how long Marathon will last? But in a world that feels dark and depressing in the video games era, honestly, if video game production stopped now, there's enough video games to hold you over for the rest of your life. You could play video games and you would be perfectly fine. And honestly, a lot of these old video games hold up, and I think you should definitely play them.
Absolutely.
Buy a PSP.
100%. No, not that part. Don't buy a PSP. I can't literally recommend that any less. Buy a Steam Deck. Just play on a computer you already have.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. Again, playing little handhelds just feels good. It feels good in my hand, man.
I hear you. I mean, there is something. Look, as someone whose entire early pornography experience existed on a PSP, I have a very deep connection with the PSP as a console. But I don't know necessarily whether that was a game connection or just a early internet connection that I had with it.
Yeah, give a teenage boy access to the internet in his pocket before like internet cell phones were very popular. And yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
A lot of PNGs,
Lot
lot
of
of
lot of
JPEGs.
slow loading PNGs from illicit websites that now would have
Uh,
8,000 pop-ups that you couldn't even access the content. So,
yeah. Play
it's
retro games. They're a good
play
time.
retro
And
games.
again, it's a very surreal experience in life that, again, I feel like it's one of those things where the people of the other generation are like, yeah, welcome, because I see people talking about the SNES and the NES, and I have no connection to those systems at all. I'm like, those games suck.
Yeah.
And there's probably younger generations that are looking at us and being like, Game Boy games are terrible. I'm not gonna play a Game Boy game. And I'm just like, yeah, you're right, but I don't know. I love this thing. I love this little
It's
thing.
it's not it's not that, right? It's like, what was Chrono Trigger released on?
Super Nintendo.
Yeah. Like, I just don't get it.
Hmm?
And I understand if you just don't get
Yeah.
the Game Boy or the appeal. Like, I will not, unlike the people who listen to this podcast who hate me for hating Chrono Trigger, I have no ill feelings towards you if you can't play a Game Boy game. I totally understand.
So if
I have,
some like 16-year-old, it's like, yo, Emerald is the worst game I've ever played in my life.
yeah. I
You're
mean, of
fine with that?
course. How would it not be the worst game they've ever played? The only thing they grew up with is like
Fortnite
Minecraft
Marathon.
and Fortnite. Their gaming experience has been incredible. It's only gotten
It's
better.
like
That's
that
what I will
Family
say.
Guy meme or that Family Guy episode where Peter shows Chris the original Donkey Kong for the first time, and Chris is like, "Where are the microtransactions? Where are the teenagers that are yelling slurs in your ears in
Yeah.
online lobbies?"
I do think that there is like, especially the generation we grew up in, there's a very weird in between of like a lot of the franchises that we grew up with are still very relevant. Like Call of Duty is still around, Halo's still around,
Pokemon,
fucking
Yu-Gi-Oh,
Pokemon is still around. Like these game franchises have
yeah.
evolved and existed. Whereas if you're just a little earlier than when we were kids in the early 2000s, there are a lot of these things that are like
I also
very
think
specific to that
Yeah.
time.
I also think obviously we live in an era where everything is incredibly accessible at all times. And now people can, I mean, there is probably like teenagers that are going and playing NES games and SNES games and Game Boy games, because obviously when that generation before, they didn't have as much access to those things. Now it's just like, yeah, you could play the history of video games, any video game you want right now throughout the entirety
Yeah.
of the
It's just like
existence of video
music.
games.
It's like music too, right? It's like, oh, I'm listening to Queen and I'm also listening to
Yeah.
whoever is popular. I don't know, but
Kendrick
I'm sure there's
Lamar.
that's once again, that's an old person take. I have a feeling. I don't think that's gonna connect with the youths.
Well, I've been listening to a lot
Uh,
of Mafra. She did a cover
okay.
of a
Uh, Yep.
fuck.
That's a little better. That's a little better.
Oh, what did she do?
Who else? Who else is new?
But dude, if y'all haven't heard it,
So
if you into like any kind of like metal, hardcore, emo kind of music, dude, she does this like crazy thing with her voice where she has like a beautiful voice, but then can like transition it into being like
mhm.
grungy and screamo.
Yep.
Dude, it's crazy.
I get her videos where it's like, has metal music ever been this high before? And it's like a 47-year-old man reacting to her
Yeah.
singing high
Dude,
notes. She's like,
when that video came out, it was everywhere, and
just pogging.
her cover of Doomed. I'm blanking on the band right now. I cannot think of who the band is that originally sings Doomed. I like them too, but I can't.
We've gotten so off topic.
Yeah. Yes. Play Game Boy
Anyway, we
games.
can't recommend enough that
Yeah.
you play any of these Game Boy games. And if you grew up with the Game Boy, what is your favorite Game Boy game? What are the things that you would recommend us to play?
Yeah.
And maybe if they're enticing enough, we will play them. And if you didn't grow up with a Game Boy Advance or the Game Boy or the Game Boy Color or the Game Boy SP, what do you think about this? What is your
Yeah. What's your
perception of
opinion
these
on it?
consoles? Is it like this is the TI-84 calculator of game consoles, or is it like, yeah, that's a thing that exists, I don't really care about it? Let us know. You can join our Discord. You can hit us up on all of our social media. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram,
Not on
Blue
Facebook.
Sky.
Not on Facebook.
Probably not on
Not
Facebook,
on Facebook.
but you know.
Yeah.
Facebook, Meta's Instagram. We're on Instagram. You can find us there.
That's true. That's true. And if you're here for the book club series, next week we're continuing Dispatch. We're on the Pen Ultimate episode of Dispatch. We're going to be joined by Danny, aka CG Danny B, to be talking about episodes 5 and 6 of Dispatch, which Kai still has to play through episode 6.
I'm halfway through 5.
That's true. 5 is very short. You'll finish 5 very quickly. 5 is very short.
Doesn't give me a lot of hope because that means 6 is long, and that's
6
the one
is longer. They're both probably the shortest episodes we've had so far.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
so
what I like
6
to hear.
6 is longer than 5, but 6 is still
Also,
short.
I like that you're giving me shit because you're the one normally playing fucking Dispatch at like 7:30 in the morning before we record at 8.
That's not necessary.
That is absolutely true.
Well, this time I'm a changed man because I knew we were recording tonight, so I finished and played Dispatch yesterday.
Smart.
I was like, look, I'm not going to be able to play Dispatch on Friday, which is probably when I usually would have played it. I'll play it on Thursday and me and Kai record on Friday night.
Yeah. Well, I can't even give you a hint about how I feel. So if you're interested in my thoughts and Jared's thoughts,
tune in next week.
Ben's thoughts on the feelings about Dispatch episodes 5 and 6, you will have to tune in next week on a Play Along podcast and listen to our thoughts there. And if you haven't listened to our Dispatch episodes up until this point, please do.
And
we're very much enjoying this game.
Yeah, this game is incredible. And I don't know how long. So Dispatch episode 3 comes out on April 7th. And I'm trying to see when the spring Steam sale. It's now through March 26th. Well, it's over. It's over at this. Wait. What did I say come out? Oh, that's April 7th. Never mind. It's gone. 26th. Dispatch, as of recording, is on sale right now. I think it's like 30% off or something like that. So,
however, you can buy Dispatch on G2A, which I think is a legit website. Question mark?
You sending people to sketchy ass websites?
I don't know. I'm going there myself, so they steal my data. I'll let you know. You can buy it on G2A.com for $11.46.
Hey, there you go.
Or if you're a Plus Premium member, $10.32, which is very reasonable. I would recommend it. It's a very good game.
Very reasonable. That is.
You can buy it there, or if you want to support the studio as much as possible, you can buy it on Steam.
Yeah, it's also everywhere. It's on Xbox, it's on PlayStation. I think PlayStation is also doing a spring sale right now, so it might be discounted on there. I know a lot of the times the third-party games are discounted on all the platforms they're on. So just look around for Steam sales and games like that.
Look around.
It's never too late to join the conversation and play along with us. Well, with that, we love you all so much. Thank you for supporting the show, and we'll see you next week. Peace out, everybody.
Bye.
We gotta buy